So this is not just a review, but also my personal opinion on the game after 1 month of playing it. This will not be a super long review as I try to give as many info as I can in the shortest amount of time. So, is the game worth playing right now, or should you stay away from it? Let's quickly talk about it. So we're going to go through these important categories in this quick review to touch on each of the things the game has to offer, which are the gameplays, the content the game has to offer, the sound aka music, and of course we have to talk about the microtransactions. Now I'll also be talking a little bit about the cons of this game, the repetitive gameplay loops and all those stuff, so if you're into it, you might want to stay to the end of this video. So for now, let's start off with the gameplay first, as I think that this is an important factor that people tend to decide on playing a game. Long story short, the gameplay is great. Sure, it resembles the Temple Run style of gameplay, but you can expect it to be enhanced and feels really good and responsive. It applies most of the basic movements that Crash Bandicoot has, like spinning, sliding, and belly flopping, and they feel really outstanding. Now that is the control side of things. What about the gameplay loop? Personally, it really depends on each person. Some people love it, some people despise it. Basically, the gameplay loop revolves around collecting upgrade materials in Collection Run, craft weapons to unlock bosses, beat the bosses, collect more materials in Collection Run, crafting even more weapons to fight more bosses, and yeah, you get the point. Now, I personally don't really mind this gameplay loop, especially since I don't play this every single hour, but one thing I didn't really like is the amount of wait time between high-end weapon crafting. Some of them took only a few minutes, which is fine, while others took about 8 hours plus just to have one of that weapon. And sometimes you need to craft multiple of them to face a boss. So while the gameplay is actually pretty good, the crafting side is not. It is a very limiting system that blocks players' progress who wants to play the game more, so it might be a downside for those who wants to play the game every single moment. Now, since we're talking about this, let's jump into content now. This game does have content, both in terms of multiplayer and single player, but as you can tell from my explanation earlier, it could be considered quite repetitive, at least at the time of recording this video. You see, content-wise, the game has extra challenges that you can do, time trials and such, which does not really do much besides achievement, but the 3 main modes that you'll be playing a lot on are Collection Run, where you collect materials to craft weapons and structures, boss battles, which is the main way to progress through the quote-unquote story mode, and survivor runs, where you race against other players' bots to collect trophies for your team. And out of these, you're probably spending most of your time in Collection Run to get materials for the main story, and this is where the repetitiveness begins for most people. The maps are not randomly generated, there are no random events happening, and things are always the same. And it is actually pretty boring because you are forced to play this Collection Run over and over again. Personally, this is the biggest roadblock for me in enjoying the game to the fullest. Boss fights is pretty okay, besides the fact that most of them are actually pretty darn easy. I would say encountering a Crash Bandicoot boss is one of the unique and fun part about this game. Now, Survivor Run. This is where I think you will get most of your enjoyment from. It is intense, things will get much harder the longer you run, and it can get your adrenaline pumping. However, it doesn't come without its drawback. For now, it still feels incomplete, as you are only able to fight bots and not real players. And every start of the run starts off really slow. I just hope that in the future we have some sort of elite version of Survive Run, or maybe a harder version, where the speed just instantly caps out at full speed. That will instantly improve this mode, and I see a lot of people enjoying that as well. So that is pretty much the content of the game, at least for now. So let's talk about one of the best things about this game, the sound and music. You will not be disappointed if you are a fan of the series, or if soundtrack is your main concern. Crash Bandicoot has some of the best catchy soundtrack there is, and this game is no different. So if music and sound is a concern to you, you have nothing to worry about. Now, we can't talk about a mobile game if we don't include the topic of microtransactions. So basically, it just boils down to either it's pay to win or not. The definition of pay to win is different for everyone, so I'll just explain it from my point of view. So to me personally, pay to win basically means you are given a competitive advantage over other players if you spend real money. For example, if you get stronger or higher level than other players by playing real money, that is pay to win. If you buy cosmetics, however, that does nothing other than to make you stand out and look unique, that is not pay to win. So now we have got that clear. This is my conclusion about the microtransactions in Crash on the Run. In my honest opinion, for now, the game is actually slightly pay to win. Let me explain more. Now, the pay to win aspect to me comes to the trophies in this game. Basically, you have a team of 30 people per leaderboard, and whichever team is the highest at the end of a season gets the best reward, including crystals. And the problem is, you can actually gain a competitive edge on the leaderboard over other teams if you spend real money on buying survivor run tickets to gain trophies. Now, I don't really care about the battle pass, the skins and the costumes, as those are basically for convenience purposes. It doesn't really affect other players that much other than saving your own time. But yeah, the leaderboard is a big issue because you can buy survivor run tickets with real money. It comes to a point where me and my team just basically gave up because there's not really a point to compete fairly if the other teams are just going to spend money to get ahead of you anyway. So that is the microtransaction side. Now, you might be expecting me to talk about the bugs and glitches in this game, but I don't want to do that in this video, as the game is just over a month old. Many things will change and many things will get fixed. That is why I focus the main build of this game to give you a more sustainable and relatable review. The developers in this game is actually very responsive in terms of feedback, so that is a plus side that I must include, which gives me massive confidence that this game will get much better later on. Overall, we have solid gameplay mechanic, might need some tweaking to some of the game modes to give players a reason to play more. Otherwise, if you don't care about the leaderboard and just want to have a Crash game to play on your mobile device, this could be the one for you. Just keep in mind that this game is actually still pretty new and the developers are planning to add even more content and they are very open in your opinion. So all I gotta say is head into this game with an open mind if you want to, and expect even more content to come sooner or later. So in the meantime, do comment down below on what you think of Crash Bandicoot on the Run. Is it a solid mobile game or do you just want to stay away from it? I love reading your comments and you might end up being the next comment of the day in my next video. Just a quick announcement as well that Ratchet & Clank on the PS5 is actually coming out really soon, so I would definitely get it and you can expect more Ratchet & Clank content perhaps in the future on this channel. I actually plan to do more tips and tricks for that game, so do stay tuned if you have the PS5 and if you are getting Ratchet & Clank. And by the way, take a look at my other video as well if you enjoyed this one. It would mean a lot to me and I will be forever in your thanks. This is the Viperian signing off. Thanks for watching and stay awesome.